Welcome to season 4, episode 14 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim. With me is my co-host Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
What am I doing? Oh, I'm making a bomb. That's
That's the delivery.
Yes, you were, Steven. Yes, you were.
I
mean,
if our audience has not watched this movie, that is the delivery with the exact same enthusiasm, air quotes, right? Like that is it. Like it is rough.
I did not remember how bad he is as an actor. I forgot. It's been a while since I watched a Seagal movie.
He's a horrific actor.
Yeah.
I really dislike him a lot. And there's really only a few bright spots in his career where I don't know what it is, if the directing of the writing did enough to like help it along a little bit. But man, is there a crazy drop off from the first one.
I haven't. When was the last time you watched the original?
I bought it.
Yeah.
I bought it. It was a $4.99 kind of purchase, digital purchase. And it also could be because, not to say there's not, I think where this movie will do better is definitely villain and inside. And I think it's the exact same with the first one.
Oh yeah.
But there's a little bit more, like even in the first one where he's just like, that's my alarm. Like, take out the cakes. Like, go see. Like, there's so much more.
Pots out of the oven. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's so much more. Just something from
enthusiasm.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah. In anything that he's giving, that there's just like there's so much more in the first one. And I think to say that there's so much more is probably saying too much because it's not like there was like a whole lot, but like night and day comparison to this movie.
He is sleepwalking his way through this. So we watched Under Siege 2. Dark Territory. You couldn't get drunk, but you could get a nice little buzz if you took a shot every time someone said Dark Territory in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not anywhere close to like the drinking game of Elf, which could get you hammered so fast. But yeah, it's close. Okay. Did you ever done that? Oh my gosh.
No.
Drink every time they say Santa? Oh my Lord.
I don't want to die.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great.
Yeah, so Under Siege 2.
Yep.
Dark Territory.
And it's your pick, right?
Casey Ryback is back. It is Die Hard on a Train.
Yep. Admittedly so.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first one was
Did you
Die
do
Hard
the
on
research on who wrote this movie?
I did. Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves wrote this shit in college so that he hoped that he could sell it as a spec script. Yep. So that he could get money to film his student project.
That's great.
USC.
And he's so admitted of like, yeah, this is exactly what it was. It was exactly a Die Hard ripoff. It's like, it's so funny, the honesty with it.
Yeah, and then they ended up bringing like Brian Hegelin to come and clean it up. But it is okay at this point in Seagal's career. Supposedly, allegedly, this is where he begins wearing a girdle.
Oh, really?
So he is not moving the same way he used to.
That says a lot.
And it's very clear. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I need to rewatch some early Seagal movies because I'm watching this and I'm like, and he really doesn't move at all. And then I started watching like a YouTube clip of like all his best fight scenes. I'm like, yeah, it's the problem with the Aikido, right? Yep. That's his martial art.
Yeah,
is that it uses someone else's force against him. So it's always like, like, oh, you're going to come at me really hard. I'm just going to flip you with your own force. So sometimes it can look cool. Sometimes it looks like he's not even trying.
Yeah.
And this movie, it looks all the time like I'm not even really trying.
Yep.
Like there is a point in this movie where he literally does like a judo chop. And I'm like,
I know exactly the one you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. Which in this YouTube clip that I was watching was showing all his best fight scenes. That was one of the ones. And I'm like, this is damning.
That's not good.
This is damning.
Yeah.
All right. So should we get into this nonsense?
I mean, yeah, you barely went to the thing, but I think that that sums it up. So
Die Hard
yeah,
and Train. I mean, I'll get more into it later, but if you really
yeah,
want, I don't need to give them the specifics for this.
sure.
I'll tell you another thing too with this problem with this movie. Steven Seagal is like legitimately like 6'4" and change, right?
Yeah, he's a tall dude. Yeah.
Yeah, not taking that away from him. He is tall. On top of that, hilarious that he's wearing cowboy boots throughout all of this.
Yeah, the worst part of that is the mountain or the when he's on the cliff face.
I left. I
It's
laughed
like,
real
oh
hard.
man, wrong shoes for this one.
Bet you're regretting those heels now, buddy. Um,
No
but
grippy,
we
grippy.
have put this extremely tall man in cowboy boots in this incredibly cramped space. And it's like so there's like literally already no room for him to maneuver and do anything.
Yeah.
Like this train is just too damn small for the kind of person he is. And they've obviously
Yeah.
even made it larger than it actually shows on being from
It's probably
exterior.
why they put him outside of the train as much as they could.
Yeah. So it's just like it just hampers what his like skill is.
Right.
It completely does. And it just yeah. So anyway, let's get into it.
Yep. Casey Ryback.
I literally tried. I was like, I'm gonna go into this movie with a positive attitude. I really was. It's like, well, I just watched a terrible movie. This can only go. We can only go up from here. I was wrong. So our hero is Casey Ryback, played by Steven Seagal.
Yeah. The one
Van
and
Damme,
only.
Van Damme could have kicked his ass.
I
Still,
think
still
almost
could.
all of our stars I think could have.
Well, you know that story, right?
No, maybe. Enlighten me.
So Seagal is on Arsenio Hall, right? And Arsenio asks him about Van Damme.
Yeah.
And Van Dam and Seagal's like, some people say he's a champion, some people that's not true. I don't know how good he actually is. Yeah, it might be just the movies. Van Damme didn't care for that.
I like too how you started doing like the chin thing, almost like it almost came off as Seagalness as you're doing it. Like you started like slow, like soft talking.
Van Damme didn't care for that. So fast forward, they are both at a Sylvester Stallone party
Yeah.
in like '97. So that would be after this movie. He's
Oh, great.
already wearing the girdle, so allegedly. Um, and Van Damme's like, let's go outside. Since you're so good, let's just do it
Yeah.
right now. And Stallone tells a story. He's like, yes, Seagal wanted nothing to do with it because he could see how much better shape Van Damme was than him, and he just made up some excuse and left this party entirely.
That's
Uh,
great.
right?
I could totally like, yeah. Like, I mean,
And speaking of people whose stories are suspect, I don't know if you know this, but Seagal claims that he was like training CIA agents and shit like back in the
yeah,
80s
no,
and
he's got
70s.
like a North Korean dictator type of aura around him at times of his some of his stories of
Yeah,
like of things he's claimed to have done. Like, which is kind of funny because we're talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme, who like did like Bloodsport, which like Ducks, whatever, is like the most sham story of all time that he
right.
whatever, but whatever. I mean, whatever he played Ducks as being a bogus character, I still believe wholeheartedly that he can beat him up. I really do. Like I don't see how if there was just a one-on-one fight, how Seagal takes on Van Damme. I don't.
I He couldn't move. He just could
Yeah.
not move, and Van Damme would have taken him out easily
Yeah.
at any point. I just do not care.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree.
Anyway, so after the first movie, he has opened a restaurant in Denver, Colorado, which is an odd location for a Navy man, but he still does covert jobs for the government here and there.
Sure.
His
Yeah,
bro-
apparently he's coming back from one of the start of the movie. You're like,
yeah,
okay.
I missed his brother's funeral because he's doing that.
Well, apparently they're on bad terms.
Yes, and now he's left with his 16-year-old niece to care for. Uh,
Are
he
they
hasn't
caring
seen.
for, or are they just going on vacation to visit a grave? It was
Well, both of her
weird to me
parents are
on that
dead,
one.
so I'm assuming that he is now the guardian.
That's what I would assume, but
They're
there's
going on this
nothing.
vacation to reconnect because they haven't seen each other in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Steven puts on his shiniest cowboy boots and
Yep.
takes a train with his
In
niece.
mostly black, dark clothing, as you know.
Uh, yeah, which is what his uniform was for like the next half decade.
Yeah.
Uh,
Although even before, I feel
it's
like it's
slimming.
probably the first Under Siege where he's actually wearing like the wife beater. Although I guess that's not appropriate language anymore.
We
Well,
call it
what
a
do you
tank
call it?
top.
What
Tank
you
top.
just call it a white tank? Is that what you just call it tank top?
Yeah, just tank top.
It's so weird. This is like an ongoing conversation that my coworkers have, which is
It's
weird. But what to call this now? Because
it's
we're
just
all, like even the females on my staff are like, no, you call it a wife beater. I'm like, okay, this is so weird that that's how ingrained we are as a society that that's what the females are calling it too.
the females,
On our
the
staff, I'm just saying on our
ladies.
staff that the ladies, that's what
Yeah,
they're calling it too. It's like this is so weird. And then we all like try to like drum up like what else could we call it? And then when anyone else like calls it something else of the names we think of what else it should be called, we all call the person out on it. Anyway,
well,
yeah.
anyway, the niece's parents died. Seagal's no, Ryback's brother and wife died in a plane
Plane
crash, so
crash.
that's why they're taking a train.
Yeah.
Uh, I gotta tell you, when he sees her for the first time, he receives her with all the warmth of a drive-through window order.
Yeah.
I mean, was there a second take in this at all? I don't think so, because apparently Seagal was like ghost directing every scene in this, everything he was in.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I also saw one thing, who knows if it's true, but apparently it was quoted from her of like a pretty disturbing line or something saying that like I have a lot of girlfriends your age.
Isn't
And
that
she was
illegal? They don't seem to
legit
mind.
16 when she
Yep.
filmed this movie.
I think she's like 15 because this movie came out when she was 16.
So okay, by the way, everybody, this is Katherine Heigl. So it's like,
Hmm.
is this like why? Like horrific? Like, oh my God.
It was funny. It was a story she told on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's also a picture they found of them doing publicity stills, and like he has her. It looks like in the picture that he has her hand on her boob.
Oh no.
In the picture. Now she said like I don't have any memory of that, and
Yeah.
she doesn't have a bad thing to say about Seagal except for
Right.
that story which she was like, "Mom," after he said that to her. Um, but yeah, he's a jerk. Everyone knows this. It's just he's an
Yeah.
awful garbage person. Anyway, so Casey gets Sarah a teddy bear. I don't mean this as a compliment, but Seagal stumbling over being nervous about gifting her the teddy bear is some of his best acting, both in this movie and of all time for him. It was
Um,
like he was really trying for that half second. I was like, wow, you gave it a
I don't know
shot.
about that one.
you
I don't know about the
think
one.
you're defending Seagal's honor?
No, I no, I'm not. I just thought it was bad, to be honest.
I thought he gave it a shot to try real acting and then like not for the rest of the movie. So I was like,
I thought
I mean, it wasn't good.
the most he ever tried, I thought, was him trying to deliver the line about how he was not trained for this. Um, right? And it was just like, oh man.
Here's some trained for.
Yeah, like this is kind of stuff. It is like you realize that Hulk Hogan did a better job at this kind of a thing in this role in like Urban Commando. And like this, here you are like a few years after, and you can't do this, like you can't even deliver this similar type of line. Like this is sad.
Urban Commando? What?
Yeah, is that was Sir Urban Commando? What was the name of
Hulk
that movie?
Hogan?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that you. I missed it. Sorry that you talked about into Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan was
No, I'm not denying it. I'm just
yeah,
saying
yeah,
I
yeah.
missed the transition. I thought you were saying Seagal was in
No, 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 no,
Suburban
no, no. I
Commando. I'm
was
like,
just saying,
what?
like, there's like this, you know what I mean? Like Vin Diesel would do a similar type of thing in several movies too, where he's like The Rock tried it a couple of times, like doing the tough guy in this kind of like unusual
Domesticated.
role, domesticated role type of
Right.
thing. And it's like
Gotcha.
several people have tried before you, other people do it successfully even after you, and here you are
It's
just
Kindergarten
even
Cop you're thinking of. So, but Is like that
Sure.
kind of
Well, if you
idea.
want the peak level of it,
Sure,
yes.
sure. Mr. Nanny, I think, is the more correct
I'm,
for Hulk Hogan
but
there.
what I'm ta yes, I that's fair. Mr. Danny would probably be the better fit, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt of going a lower tier. I'm not trying to put him up to Arnold. That's not fair.
No,
I, I'm
I
trying to put him up to Hulk Hogan, and he's failing. That's the
oh,
problem.
he's definitely worse than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan has
Yes,
charm. I mean, he's a piece of shit too, but he
I
has charm.
agree. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do here. Like
Well, do you
that's
know his origin story of how he got into acting?
Seagal. Wasn't he a stunt guy? Wasn't he? Is that what he's like a choreographer?
He did a little bit of that. I think he broke like Sean Connery's wrist on Never Say Never Again. But he opened up a dojo for Aikido in L.A., Hollywood,
Yeah.
and some agent was one of the students, and he was such a cocky prick that he decided like, I bet I can make anybody an action star. So he's like, I'm going to give you a shot, and Hard to Kill is how we got it. And all of a sudden, Seagal was an action star. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, let's see. Oh yeah. Casey goes to the dining car and spots his niece with a drink and asks the bartender what the girl is drinking. She's like, "You mean that little girl with the tonic and lime and the bad ID? That's the one." Guess Sarah's a bad girl, or maybe the producers, writers, directors wanted to remind Steven Seagal that Katherine Heigl was underage. I don't know. But
I don't know. It didn't really make sense to what they were trying to say there, or the porter for that matter, but I guess we'll get to that
oh, we will.
later. Um,
Skinny Morris Chestnut.
yeah, man. I didn't even realize to be honest, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, right. And then the random where she actually comes to some kind of like statement of like, hey, why don't we kind of start over and let's be friends? And he's just like, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna point out like Casey when they're having this heart to heart. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, Casey breaks in with like, because he's talking about why did you and my dad stop talking, and all
Oh,
of a
yes.
sudden he
Oh
comes out
my
with,
gosh.
he didn't get the medals in the service by being a choir boy, and she's like, I don't want you talking about my father that way. Which, yeah, man, that seems like a really fucked up to say to a grieving
Yes.
daughter. Like, what the fuck?
Before her response even comes up, my note is like, what the like, why would you say that? Like, who's like, what are you doing?
I always think of like, remember like Diedrich Bader in Office Space, where the guy asked him like, "Does anyone ever ask you if you have a case of the Mondays?" He's like, "No, man,
Who would say that?
no, fuck no." Like that's how I felt while I was
Someone
like
get their
doing
ass
that.
beat for saying something like that, man. Like,
Exactly. That's how I felt while I said that to Katherine Heigl. Like,
yeah,
why?
because there wasn't even like this like
Came out of
multiple
nowhere.
dialogues where he couldn't measure up to her dad or something like there,
Right.
none of that was there.
Completely unprompted.
Yeah, and it comes out of nowhere and it's like, what is wrong with you? You're on your way to visit his grave.
I don't
Like,
think so. I think it's just something they did afterwards because that would have been in DC, right? Because that would have been Arlington,
I
theoretically.
don't know. I thought that's what they were doing.
Do they have military like awesome graveyards in California?
I
I
don't know.
don't
That's
know
what they're
either.
doing at the end of the movie too, and they're already in that direction. I thought that's what they were doing. It's
I don't.
pretty freshly dead, I thought. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah, no, doesn't make any
Who
sense.
knows? There's not enough information to know for sure. But regardless, semantics, right? Messed up line.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it immediately goes like, I don't think I like this guy. And then he's getting an alcoholic drink, but then all of a sudden they just allow him to come bake a cake in a microwave.
So
What?
two things here because you've rushed over two things that drove me nuts. So
Okay.
one, after blowing it with Sarah in the heart to heart, Casey
Yeah.
decides he needs a drink and asks the bartender for the strongest stuff they got. And she offers him Puerto Rican rum.
Yeah.
This train sucks. I would
Yeah.
let the terrorists have the train.
But what
Like
sucks about
rum
that
is
the most is
something.
he's immediately like, yep, that's it. Like that's gonna do it. Like, okay. Like you're a little too
That's a
excited
starter
for it.
liquor. Are you serious? You
He's
gonna
like
mix
ready
that
to
with a
go.
Diet Coke too?
Yeah.
And anyway, somehow Casey managed to charm his way into the train kitchen because gotta get him in there.
Yeah.
To bake Sarah a cake. The train is rocking Casey's style, and he can't whip the batter as well as he normally could.
But they're
What?
all like enthralled with everything he's doing.
Yeah. He puts the batter in the microwave for 15 minutes on high. The rest is up to God. I'm pretty sure that cake was going to offend me and God had the bad guys not intervened.
Just as long as you make sure there's enough rum for the cake, because she really likes
I
that
think it
kind
was
of cake.
brandy. Brandy. It
Regard, or was it
was a
brandy?
brandy.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It is so like is this really the dumbest ploy possible to try to make sure this movie starts as a similar way as possible as the first
Yeah,
movie?
because we have to literally start off with him in the freezer.
Right. Yep. Because
uh,
yeah, that's where he this time he hid in the freezer. The first time he was locked in the freezer.
right. He has to escape. Yeah. Uh,
So bad.
so Casey figures out a way back into the train after snooping around on top of it and runs into Bobby Zax, who was hiding behind the baggage car.
So
And he's like, come here.
are you gonna go plot for plot? Because there's like literally almost
No,
nothing else you can say
I'm
about this character.
literally almost done. But it's just like, I just want to make fun of some more of his acting, is really
Fair
what I'm
enough.
doing
Okay.
here.
Yep.
And he's like, come here. Hell no, I ain't coming out there. Young man, don't make me raise my voice. Come here.
Yep.
I mean, that is the worst delivery he has in the entire
Yep.
movie. It is
I don't know.
stunning.
I would say it's on par with that other one we talked about.
Well, how about this one? Oh shit, you've been shot. Nah, no bullet. No bullet in here. You think this is being shot? This ain't being shot.
God, I forgot. Did he really say that?
Swear to Christ.
Oh my God. I do remember like because I mean one of the biggest problems with his character, and this is like a big no for us in general, right? Like we are not the biggest fan of the hero that can do no wrong, can't be hurt, takes everyone out with 2 seconds,
That's so
and
offensive about this because it's a Die
yeah,
Hard in a whatever, and you're just like, no, he can't get hurt. He can't lose any
yeah,
fight.
it's basically he's Die Hard, and he's John McClane, but he's Super God,
Yeah, you're
and
taking
it's
away the
like
best part about Die Hard.
what? Which was the problem with the later sequels of the Die Hard movies too. Like everybody gets on the PG-13 R stuff. It's like no, the biggest problem was all of a sudden became a superhero, and that no.
Yeah, when he's jumping
Um,
onto F-14s or whatever, or
right, or
F-16s.
I can perfectly launch a car at a helicopter, and it's no, like that. This we're not the character anymore,
Mhm.
and I think that's kind of one of the bigger problems here, right? It's just like he does get shot. They show him get shot. They can't even show him bleeding. They
Yeah,
have to show the undercarriage of the train car having blood on it. And that's the only intimation that you got that it actually hit
and there
him.
is a lot of blood. But he's
Yeah,
insisting like, no, just a flesh wound. I'm like,
right. You don't see blood on him. You don't see him bloody.
no, yeah,
You never see him disheveled. Like he
no,
doesn't lose an article of clothing. Nothing's
never a hair out
tattered.
of place. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, he doesn't get any grease or sweat or anything. He's immaculate the entire way.
Yep.
And I'll save it for action, but there's a point in the action that I can't wait to get to that left me so upset. Like I was so angry by it. It was oh man, it's rough.
All right, one last. I can't believe he delivered that dialogue. Uh, bad guy switches the train tracks, and now the train is heading straight for another train carrying 800,000 pounds of gasoline. And Bobby asks, "You're not going to let them get away with this, are you?" No, I'll get into my little bag of tricks, and we are going to rescue these hostages. Exciting stuff.
It really almost seemed like he was like hoping like the movie theater was gonna go, yeah, or something in that delivery, or
My
it was
little bag of
terrible.
tricks, and we are going to rescue these hostages.
I'm pretty sure they had him say hostages at least 4 times.
I gave this category a one.
Oh man, I
You are
hate that I'm
sub
slightly nicer. God.
sub Chuck Norris and
I
the
did
dog.
1.5.
I thought about it. I almost went 1.5, and I'm like, the more I thought about how angry I am about how little he gave a shit while making this,
Yeah,
I
this is
just couldn't do it.
upsetting. I might drop. I'll leave it at 1.5 for now, but I might drop depending on final ranking here. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It really is.
Let's get to the highlight of this movie, shall we?
Oh, without a doubt, the highlight. Like,
The
let's
only thing
go.
that makes this semi-watchable, villain.
Yes. Dude,
So
we not only does our main villain like is just a lot of freaking fun, but we also
yeah,
have a Bond alumni here too, which just adds to it.
who's the Bond alumni? I'm not...
Yes. His right hand man. The
Oh, right, of course. I forgot he
yes,
was in License to Kill.
License
Right,
to
of
Kill.
course.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right.
No, sorry. Yeah, Everett McGill. I
Yes.
love him to death. I forgot he was in License to Kill for a minute. You are
He
right.
looks
Yeah.
so much more intimidating in this movie, and it makes me even more upset with the final action piece. But
He
yes,
looks like fucking Mike Pence in this movie.
that's fair.
He really does.
Like a really in shape Mike Pence, but yeah,
Mike Pence
like
is
leaner. I mean,
like,
he's a leaner, maybe. I don't know.
sure. Mike Pence came out of like Republican politician central casting. Like that is like the one thing I can say nice about him, I guess, is like,
Sure.
yeah, that is what Republicans think our president should look like. Uh,
Yeah. Well,
and so
hey, and he did the right thing on January 6th, I guess. But and that's about it.
for all the good it did us.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's get to the fun stuff. Our primary
Yes.
villain is Travis Dane, played by Eric
Yes.
Bogosian, who is just a delight in this movie.
He's a breath of fresh
And
air.
the way this movie absolutely drags when he's not on screen.
It is
Holy shit.
noticeable. It is noticeable.
Yeah.
Like
He's having
so much more fun.
he is having fun, you can tell. He's
Oh
doing the
yeah.
best he can with what he's got.
I'm kind of hoping because I can't always click down fast enough on his lines, but he's got the best lines in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh
So I'm
yeah.
hoping you got some of them. I'm sure you do.
Despite Seagal writing his own lines, Bogosian wins this
Well, this was
slide.
one of the funniest things, and I think you kind of intimated to it was like he Seagal like rewrote so much
Yeah.
stuff that he was in, but there's so much that he's in that Seagal's not in.
Right. Yeah.
So
So that's
that
why it's
means
a
they're
better movie when
sticking
he's
to the
there.
script and sticking to what he's doing, and Seagal can't rewrite stuff. And it's like this is so much better.
Yeah.
It's like a thousand times better. And like the whole like beginning of him, because he doesn't come in for a long time.
Takes like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, like a real long time. And then when he comes in and he's like, "Oh, and you're here," and he like immediately is like, "Oh yes, this is such a breath of fresh air from all this
I,
other garbage I've seen."
I love Bogosian. I mentioned it before in a previous podcast. He's great in Interview with the Vampire. Recommend checking out that show.
Mhm. Yep.
Also incredible in oh Christ, what's that movie? With Adam Sandler. I just can't remember off the top of my head now.
No, I'm trying to like with him Sandler movies.
Uncut Gems. He's great in Uncut Gems.
Oh yeah. That is good. Great. That is a really good movie.
Yeah. Anyway, our man Dane here, Travis Dane, he has developed the Grazer satellite, which some in the military and the CIA want to simply use as a spy satellite for perving on topless women at the beach. But Dane's true goal was to create a weapon that can make earthquakes anywhere, land, sea, or air.
Well, to be fair, he was a little surprised by the air one that he could pull off, but he is the smartest man alive, so he
God
figured
damn,
it
he's
out.
good.
So, but otherwise, it's like it definitely took me a little bit in the notes to wrap my head around the parameters of this weapon.
Oh, the science doesn't make any sense
None.
at any point in this movie.
Yeah.
Any point.
Yeah. Like
But
I loved how like
I'm having so much fun with Bogosian, I don't care.
yeah, like going through his realization that he can make the plane go klabooey or whatever.
Right, you can
Right.
make an earthquake in the
And
air.
him having to go like, wait a minute, I have a seismic weapon and it's like I basically do earthquakes, but oh, wait a minute. Like and then what was it? It was turbulence. Turbulence is how I can make this work. Like, wait,
Turbulence is how he
what?
found the second planes later on. Yeah.
Oh, that's how he found it or whatever. But it's just
Yeah.
like, but okay, so that's how he found it. But then how does that make any sense to it's a seismic thing.
No, it
It's
doesn't
supposed
make.
to be
I
the
don't.
whole point of the satellite because I guess it's supposed to make it look like no one was involved, like it's natural causes.
Right. No, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
The
because that's
science of
why
this
they were
thing. It
like
doesn't.
basically like, oh, it happened to China. Oh, thank Christ they can't trace it back to us. It's basically the thing.
Remember how you told me to shut up and during Virtuosity when I was like complaining about like It eats glass? That doesn't make any sense. This is
Uh,
where I'm begging you to like just shut up and let Bogosian cook.
Fair enough.
No, I admit
No,
like
I
it
love
makes total
everything he's
sense.
doing, but I just meant like I did
It's even
fixate on the weapon too much that I was like, this is dumb as hell.
it's there's another part too that doesn't even involve the weapon that really made my head explode
Yeah.
for the science
Oh,
part. But
I
anyway,
can't wait till you get to that one then.
so
I need to know. I need to know.
so he gets fired.
Yeah.
They come to his lab and confiscate everything. Told him his technology was not essential. So Dane fakes his death, decides to take back his invention for himself, and
As
get paid
people
to
do.
carry out revenge. That's what we do. Dane reveals himself to the currently fucking Captains Gilder and Trilling. Well, here you are. Last place anyone would expect to find you. Then gives them both like a thumbs up and laughs while walking away.
Just walks away.
Just a really fun introduction.
Yeah.
And he's like, now you two have been very naughty. ATAC has strict rules against employees getting involved with each other. Is that what this is all about? Yeah, right. I faked my death and hijacked a passenger train because I care about who you were fucking.
So good. I love to, I'm not only is that line awesome, but just the whole scene where he's got this like insanely hot razor sharp poker thing that he's got one of
Mm-hmm.
his dudes like going at their
Where he
eye.
explains exactly how it's
And
going to work.
exactly. He's hanging over their shoulder, like
Yeah.
just like interested. And like, what's happening here? Like your doctor would, like your physician would do it. And he's explaining all the horrific things that's
Big
about to
dentist
happen to
vibes.
you.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my gosh. It's fantastic.
It really is.
It's really good.
He's got this glee in his voice. It's so much fun.
Yes. Like, but it's also great too, because it's like one of those kind of like, this is badass. Like, it's just like he knows the ending. He already knows the result
Right.
because he says it throughout the whole movie. It's kind of great. Like, I'm smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like a, not to kind of go geeky, but this is a great, like, this is what the Riddler should be kind
Mm.
of deal. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
so pompous. Like I'm smarter than everybody.
I'm not the bronze of this, but I am the smartest person here, and I've already thought this all through.
Yeah, and even when he's like kind of saying like the shitty lines, like
Yeah.
"Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captor speaking. There's been a slight change in your travel plans tonight." Like
Yeah.
he delivers it in a way that even his character is like,
It works.
I don't know. It's he's doing it kind of bored, but I guess he's just gonna get through this. But it works for the character.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Like
It's just
Bogosian, the
one
real magic
step
trick what he's doing
closer
here.
to things, right? Like I'm gonna like this is what I'm supposed to be saying, but I'm gonna put my own flair to make this somewhat interesting to me. But
Right,
I
exactly.
don't
I'm doing this for
care.
myself, and I'm just
Exactly.
getting through this.
Exactly. And he has
Yeah.
that whole thing to it, and it makes it so much better. And I also love too where not only I know I complained about the plane thing being stupid, but I love how that
No, it
whole
is. You're
scene
right.
at first was like, this is so stupid and beneath me
Well, we'll
and
get into that. Yeah.
none of my plans, right? But I love as soon as like the more money gets offered, he goes, like all of a sudden it's like, well, like can I put my I am a genius. Like, can I like all of a sudden figure this out? And it was like, oh, this is great. This is good stuff.
So, yeah, I also we mentioned before our secondary bad guy is Marcus Penn, leader of the mercenaries that Dane has
Yeah.
hired, played by Everett McGill, as Tim knows him, that awesome guy from License to Kill.
He's the FBI agent gone rogue.
That's right. No,
Or CIA, right?
DAA.
Oh gosh, it is one of the ones I've watched the least because I'm not a big License to Kill guy like you,
No,
but yeah,
it's too bad. It's a good
it's
movie.
crazy how much more intimidating he is in this movie, to be honest.
Well, you just saw him recently too, because you watched People Under the Stairs for the first time.
Good point. Yeah,
But I loved him in Twin Peaks. Everett McGill is just one of those like great that guys who just
he's a big dude. He's got a crazy, like just calm but gravelly type voice that's intimidating as heck. Again, he's big. And it
he is
just
a large man.
works. Like it's just he's towering over you, and it's good, to be
Yeah,
honest.
and he's got this like stern
Yeah.
like voice that he has on all the time. But he's
Yeah.
also like he gets to be a little weird in this movie. They let that in at the very end, which I'm like, oh,
Well,
this
they
is
kind
fun.
of clue you in a little bit because like he clearly has these weird ticks. Like I love how he's like even in the beginning where they're like storming the train kind of deal, and he's like he comes up to our main villain almost all proud of himself, giving him the time of
Right.
like, and and our villain's just like,
Wow.
great, like
He literally says, wow. He's like,
yeah,
not like
like
I'm
oh, that
impressed.
was wow, like
Wow.
wow, like you're a, like this is coming from a nerd. You're a dork. Like okay, like
One last shout out to a previous Everett McGill movie, Original Stilgar and David Lynch's Dune. We call that one Mud Deep.
okay,
The way that man says Mud Deep is permanently etched in my brain. I love it so much.
fair enough.
Mud Deep. Anyway, uh, we did the needle thing. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the part that I'm like, my brain like broke when he was
Oh
trying to
yeah,
explain the
please.
science. Apparently, Dane has upgraded the Grazer satellite without ATEX knowledge to use part of the electromagnetic spectrum. As long as they're moving, the signal is completely transparent since they're on a choo-choo, no stop signs for 6 hours. What?
Okay. I just went with like, oh, satellite having a tough time with a moving target, and I
Which would have been
ignored
fine. I would have let that go
so
at
much
that.
of this. But now that you're saying this, you know, was another part that was distracting? Our villain saying choo choo, which was so much fun, the way he
Yeah,
said choo
it
choo.
was. It was so much fun. Yeah,
So
choo-choo.
again, this dude's doing a lot of heavy lifting to distract you from the insanity of this movie. Um,
I threw you with that electromagnetic spectrum part, didn't I?
yeah, it did. I'm like, I forgot that. I remember the choo choo train part, but like,
I had to rewind it and put the subtitles. I'm like, what the hell did he just say?
yeah, no, he had me at choo choo.
Yeah, I agree. It's like,
I,
it's like, shut up. Doesn't matter. It's good.
you, you're not wrong. You're
Yeah.
not wrong, but he had me at choo choo.
So Dane tells the captains that not only did he invent the system, but he also invented the blocks for instance. He has no problem simultaneously entering the two access codes simultaneously on two different keyboards, which is a fun little like. He's not even looking when he does it too.
Yeah,
He's
he's
that good.
like a keyboard piano player or something
Yeah.
doing his thing.
Dane gives a call to his investors, clients from Asia and the Middle East, guessing the Chinese are not involved because that's the first target. A
Yeah,
fertilizer plant in Guangzhou. A fertilizer plant? Yeah, I'm going to shock the world by spreading caca all over the place.
another great line. Yep.
And apparently, it's a thinly veiled chemical weapons plant everybody knows about. After that demonstration, in exchange for $1 billion, he promises to blow up a secret nuclear power plant underneath the Pentagon, which will destroy Washington, D.C. and most of the Eastern Seaboard. So stupid.
I don't know.
A billion
It
dollars?
the other
I
things.
owe a lot of money. I owe a lot of people a lot of money.
Oh, the oh, I owe a lot of people money is just funny.
Yeah.
Is the funny part, like, because he's like, "What is that really? You're
Yeah,
in this for
it's not,
money?
it's not,
Like,
it's not a
what?" It's
real
like,
number. That's not a
yeah.
real money. Yeah.
But I do like the interchange of like we know it's there, they know we know it's
Right.
there, but they don't want to know that we know that it's there. We don't want them to know that
Yeah.
it's like a nice little like go
It's
with it. I
funny.
like it. Yeah.
It's like the movie is it's a movie whenever Bogosian is on screen. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I'm having so much fun. I'm riding with it all.
But it's like he understands his movie and he's having fun with it, but I feel like there's also like I get it
Mm-hmm.
as much as the part you got. Like again, I he had me at choo choo, so I was distracted.
So yeah.
But yeah.
So as Tim mentioned before, one of the investors requests that Dane kills his ex-wife,
Yeah.
who's traveling by plane. And Dane isn't interested because it's a challenge to destroy a plane going 500 miles per hour through the air with a weapon designed for subterranean strikes. But the promise of an additional $100 million intrigues him, and he agrees.
Yeah.
The satellite goes back online, and military moves to strike down the satellite, but Dane tricked them into destroying a different NSA satellite, and ex-wife's plane is blown up. Earthquake in midair. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Uh, and then he
Yeah.
calls into ATAC and tells them that his nefarious scheme and signs off with, I was smarter than all of you while I was working there, and I'm still smarter than you.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, he's got them hunting for different satellites the whole way, and they have to eliminate each one before they can make a strike. Like that's part of like his.
Yeah.
ingenious plan and the dark territory or whatever. But like, yeah, whatever.
Should
It's
make you
great.
drink every time we say dark territory. That's what we should
Uh,
have done.
sure, fair enough.
So
Do we go to his death? Because it's not exactly action.
it's no, it's way later, and I'm not gonna. I think I have that in action anyway. So Penn discovers Casey's Palm Pilot, and the transmission has gone through to a fax machine at his restaurant.
How crazy is it?
And
Like, there's
then
so much stuff that we've like dated because of just like the beeper. And here he is dating because of the Palm Pilot. It's like an advanced datedness.
it's not even a Palm Pilot; it's like before Palm Pilots.
But it's
Uh,
exactly what I thought of. Like you
right,
said Palm Pilot, I immediately was like, this is what I refer to it in my notes.
right, and it. But here's the part that I'm like really confused with: is that actually Casey's, or is that just something he found? It seemed
Oh, I
like it was
don't know.
something he found, but
Maybe. I
Dane
don't
is
know. He
able
was like, oh,
to.
these recipes sound good or
Yeah,
whatever.
Dane's able to hack into it, and somehow he's able to see recipes and shit. And I'm like, wait, what?
I doubt they even have that much blockage of this stuff at this point, right? Like it's like
What?
two-factor identification and stuff and all that kind of stuff doesn't
Yeah,
exist at this
sure,
point. You know what I
sure,
mean?
sure.
So
I just like it didn't make any sense to me. Like, did he have email? Was this what he was hacking into? His email? I don't.
no, it's probably just
Anyway,
the device. I'm pretty sure it's
but then that
probably
means
like
it's his.
some things don't exist yet. I'm pretty sure it's
But
like
that
a
means the device
simple
is
thing
his,
to
and it
open.
didn't really look like it was his, so it was very confusing. Anyway, because I don't think he actually went onto that train with any kind of luggage that I saw.
Besides the teddy bear, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, not positive.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Dane hacks it, and that's when he discovers it belongs to Casey Ryback, which freaks out all of the mercenaries on the train.
I did
And
like that.
turns out Casey was Zed, aka Redfoot's instructor at Fort Bragg. Penn is pissed at him because he never saw a body, just blood. Assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. Yeah,
Hits him. Ouch.
smacks him. Bad Zed.
He did mess up.
Do you prefer Zed or Redfoot? I'll try to. I mean, the actor is like Peter Green. I mean, you're gonna say some bullshit about the mask, aren't you?
He was in the mask, but I don't remember his name from the mask, to be honest.
You're
Do
the
you
one who saw the
remember?
mask.
I probably watched it more than you have, so that's fair. I don't
His
remember his
name in the
character.
mask was Dorian.
Dorian. Okay, yeah. All right, that makes sense. No, I think Redfoot is probably what I would think of first.
Over Zed? Okay.
Yeah.
Zed's dead, honey. Zed's dead.
Usual suspects I destroyed. So yeah, that's kind of where I think I'd go with for
Both are
it.
acceptable. I'll call him
Uh,
Redfoot from now on.
yeah, well, I mean,
He doesn't have a character name.
whatever fluctuates. He doesn't have a character name in this movie. I was shocked when I looked at the IMDb. I was like, Mercenary One or whatever. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
really?
It's like third in command.
And it's kind of like upsetting because he has. Never mind. We'll save it for side characters. We'll go to side characters with that one. So grand.
Uh, Penn catches sight of Sarah and she just lies and says her name is Bobby Zax. When Zed points out that, I'm sorry, when Redfoot, I gotta correct myself because I was calling him Zed in here, points out she's not on the list, she claims she's an employee. When they ask her where her uniform is, she says she's deadheading for a free lift home. Then Penn sees her Navy Cross necklace and she maces Zed. I'm sorry, damn it again, Redfoot and Penn. And Penn doesn't react, says, not mace, sweetheart. Pepper spray, sold to civilians. Once you get used to it, just clears the sinuses.
Yeah, no, he really has like no reaction to it at all. It's kind of insane.
I Penn is just like, and like Redfoot at least covers his face, like ah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it makes no sense because like, no, I'm sorry. You can be the most trained person. You know.
So here we go. So this is a great like what the fuck moment that really made me laugh. With our man Penn. He goes over to talk to Sarah, says he's disappointed, was looking forward to going mano a mano with the great Casey Ryback. And Sarah tries some kind of like Vulcan neck pinch, except her thumb is in his
I
cheek.
didn't like this scene.
Penn seems like aroused by it.
I know. This is why I did not like this scene.
And he's like, oh man, that was good. Did he
Yeah.
teach you that? Penny,
Yeah.
you could have
There's
been
that was the
very,
most
very good.
uncomfortable scene in the whole movie, without a doubt. It's like, dude, this old dude is like really turned on by what the 16-year-old just did to his face. Like
Yeah, it's just like
this is dark.
it's weird. And then what's really cool, so Penn is about to kill her, and Dane tells her to leave her alone. She's insurance. He's like, well, Ryback's gone. He's like, did you see the body? Assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. I love that Dane just threw
Threw it
Penn's
right
line
back at
back at
him.
his face
Yeah.
and saved the girl. So I'm like, yeah, good on you, Dane.
And I mean he's weirdly smart at times too, right? Like towards the end where things are completely done, like they're effed, right? Like it has gone bad. And I think this is when Penn completely loses it and is just like in Dane's face, like with a gun kind of deal. Like,
Before that, one of the guys comes up to him and he's like, "Looks like you fucked up, old man. Time to cut and run." Excuse me? And
yeah,
like Penn like shoves a knife through the goon's throat. Does anyone else here think I fucked up? No.
yeah. And
I
I
also
liked how Dane too kind of goes like, all right, this guy's lost it. This is not my wheelhouse. Like, sure, okay.
well later on there's like you said there's like a weird confrontation right after
Yeah,
that. Like there's something else happens and they cut back to them and like Penn is threatening Dane with a knife, telling him to take care of I'll take care of Ryback. You take care of the techno shit.
right. Yep.
And like Dave's like, all right, whatever. You go get your throat ripped out. I got 8 million people to kill and $1 billion to pick up.
Yeah. But he doesn't care. So he's just kind of telling me like whatever at this point.
Right.
Yeah, because he like that's doesn't concern him. And so I again like it's like I dig this, and there's so much of this stuff I dig, especially even with Penn, because it's like he hasn't gotten his a mano moment yet, but they're building it like it's coming,
Boy, they built it. Uh,
and we'll get to that in action.
very soon. The last thing I want, well, two last things I want to mention. So one, I really just real quick want to say I love Dane doing his Rod Serling impression. Where it's
Oh
just like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're,
yeah, yeah.
and he's like, "You're next up, Dark Territory." I'm like, ah.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah, it
lastly,
was almost verbatim until he says dark territory, but
yeah,
yeah,
I didn't
that's
want to do the whole
nice.
thing. And then Penn puts a noose around Sarah's neck and tells her, "You know, I've never been afraid of anybody, but that unk of yours scares me, and I like it." Ben became like such a weirdo in like the last like half an hour of the movie. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah. But again, what a letdown.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
totally
I
hand
feel like
I give
we
it
got to
I give it a
skip
three and a
Penn.
half.
We got to skip Penn because Penn obviously goes into action, but I feel like you could still talk about Dane.
I did that all in action because it's so
Really?
nuts
Because
at the
Dane
end.
is not an action moment. The way he goes down is although okay, never
No, it's an
mind.
action movement. Yeah.
I guess because it's not the
He's got like
official
seven
way he
deaths.
goes down. That's
He's got like
it.
7 deaths. It doesn't make any
Yeah. You
sense.
know what? Fair enough. I apologize. I'm wrong.
I gave it a 3.5, this category.
I did not go 3.5. I went three, so we're not far off.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think we're basically tied now. If I'm a half point higher in this and you were a half point
Right. I
higher in the
went a
other one.
1.5 for here. You went one. So yeah,
Right.
so we're about tied. Yep, that makes
So let's
sense.
get into like this really shitty action movie. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
let's start off with
oh,
just like the bad guys taking over the search and rescue guard unit. They had the
yeah,
key code to the gate, but there are only like 4 guys at this entire base.
yeah.
Barely had enough people on base to fly the 2 helicopters the bad guys steal.
Did you notice how it like randomly like slows to the slow-mo shot for them to just shoot up a radio? They do this like three other times in this movie
Yeah.
where they just pick a random time to do it. Like they one time did it in the beginning where it was just a slow-mo shot of transitioning from the beginning to like gosh, what's his name? Freaking Red. Being a general or whatever, right? They just slow-mo shot to
Kurtwood
this like
Smith.
not thing and it's just like why was this editing choice made? I don't understand. What are we slow-moing
It's
to?
probably Seagal. Seagal was heavily involved in the editing process,
Oh
which the
God.
director was like, I wanted to die.
There's so much random like what do we why would you transition slow-mo to nothing? Like I don't understand the choice.
You know what's so funny about Seagal is I was gonna say, so the original Under Siege, right, is directed by Andrew Davis, who also directed him in Hard to Kill and went on to direct like The Fugitive. A+ action director, great guy.
Yeah.
He was not totally thrilled with the idea. Even back in Hard to Kill, he was a pain in the ass. So he was like when they asked him, like, were you excited to work with Seagal again? He's like, no, I really wanted to work with Tommy Lee Jones, though, which obviously turned out to be a great pairing for both of them since it netted Tommy Lee an Academy Award. But
Yeah.
it's like, I just like, yeah, he's always been a pain in the ass, and he just got worse and worse as it went on. So bad guys stop the train, and they're like, and it's Jonathan Banks, Mike Ehrenstrout
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And he's like, someone's been shot. Where? Here. Boom. Kills the conductor
It's
and steals his
Mike.
hat. Yeah.
The problem is that we have to say here is the tremendous amount of time that it takes to get to that scene
Okay. I
is
have this in miscellaneous, but yeah, let's go into it right
rough.
now. There is a there is a 20-second. I counted. It might be more than that actually, because I just counted my fingers. 20-second helicopter shot of the train leaving the station, followed by a shot of Denver. It's like, why?
Why?
What are we doing?
Yeah. Like there's
Any
no setup.
and there's a lot of like we're just like killing time, eating time, eating
Yeah,
time.
we really have to spend this much time setting up the plot and like it's just
Even
there's nothing action wise. It's rough.
even when they're stealing the helicopters, I'm like, is this to
Yeah.
add to the action? Because this sucks, and they could
Yeah.
have just showed up with helicopters. That would have been fine.
Again, it's just like people just getting blown away real quick.
Yeah, but at least
Like,
one
oh,
scene
cool, the
had.
guys in the Humvee get to shoot some guns. That's cool. Like,
Only reason I highlighted this bit was because,
slow-mo shot of the radio getting killed.
yeah, the only reason I highlighted this because Jonathan Banks is there, and I love that guy. So I was like,
I
hey,
do.
Jonathan
He does.
Banks.
He gets a couple more scenes, but not much. I had no idea. Like, I couldn't remember that it was him in this movie. So it was a pleasant, like, oh,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And you know what? One of the most charismatic parts in this whole movie, to
Oh
be
yeah.
honest. Like he nails the scenes he gets. Like he really does a good job in what he gets.
Didn't we cover him in a different? Was he? Did he show up in like that vampire movie that we watched? I feel like
Oh,
we.
you mean in a different season?
Yeah,
I think you're right.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
first bit of real action, a goon comes into the kitchen and kills one of the chefs, then asks, any more heroes? Boom. Seagal comes in, punches him, and then like the rest of the action happens like with Seagal off screen. Like you just see like the balls, you don't see Seagal doing it.
Yeah.
It goes to a tight close up, and like also with the punch, it's like, what? And then Seagal does the judo chop in the throat and tosses him off the train.
That was one of the roughest parts, to be honest, which is weird that that was on your list that you saw. It was like a double chop.
It's
And
weird.
it looked awful.
Yeah.
And I thought the stuff that went before that looked better than that. So I'm like I'm in shock that that was on your list. Like who's putting this list together? Like dear Lord. Uh,
Uh,
there's moments that I would include in this movie if I were to make a list of Seagal stuff, but it wouldn't be that.
I don't think I would. But
Anything in this movie? I mean, there's a couple of moments that to be honest, I don't think it'd necessarily be Seagal worthy. That it's more like effects worthy, like where like they show him
not the
like
satellite.
no, that is like some Command and Conquer Red Alert
Mm,
effects from like
yeah.
PC
Good
games of the
call.
same era. Like
Yeah.
that, like I saw some of that satellite stuff and I'm like ready for the like you know what I mean?
Red
But
alert.
yeah. But no, like there's a few times where you know where like a arm is snapping the wrong way, or you actually see a wrist getting sliced. You know, like there's a few
Right.
times where they actually like go for it and show you stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. That's about it.
Yeah. So after he tosses off the train, bad guys start shooting everywhere, kill all the rest of the chefs. Although Seagal tried to tell him to warn, take cover, but he's the only one that does, and he hides in the freezer because it's an under siege movie, and he must go into the freezer for a couple
Kind of
minutes.
that's where he lives.
Dane has the captains thrown off the train. Trillian gets thrown off and shot at, which felt a little overkill. And then Gilder gets thrown off while over a bridge and into a shell river. It's a decent dummy fall, honestly. I was like, oh, that's a good looking
Yeah.
dummy.
To be honest, the fall
There,
she took is like she could have lived.
No, that's shallow. You can see the
I
rocks.
know they do show a lot of rocks, but like I mean, the way they show a body hitting is just like it didn't really look like there was that much of an impact. I don't know.
It's one of the nice things I can say about this movie is good dummy work with people falling in this movie.
Yeet.
When they
In
use a
that
dummy,
moment,
when they use a dummy, the dummy is used well. Unfortunately, they don't always use the dummy, and it shows when they don't use the dummy
yeah,
because
there's some parts where
then we get some bad green screen effects, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's the
especially in
dummy.
the stopping point in that weird mining town area thing
Hmm.
that they stop off at. That's where it
Yep.
gets rough.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, the satellite creates an earthquake underneath a chemical weapons plant in China, and we see a small miniature on fire with a radio tower coming down, and it sucks. Turns out it's supposedly just reused footage from On Deadly Ground.
That's great. It makes sense to me, to be honest, because I'm like watching this, like, why are we zoomed in on this top part of a building? Like, this
No,
is
we don't
so
want to know it's in
bizarre.
Alaska.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God. So stupid.
I tell you, this movie just fucking blows, man. Uh, Ryback tries to send an email with the Palm Pilot, but the bad guys notice someone is using power downstairs. I don't know how. So they send
They
the
went through a
goon.
tunnel. They went through a tunnel and they saw the lights downstairs, and there shouldn't be lights downstairs. So they sent somebody down. That's what
Okay.
happened.
All right. I missed that. Good
Yeah.
call. So Ryback sneaks up on him,
It's a
slices his
quick thing.
wrist, and
Yeah. Which I like the wrist slicing thing
I
looked all
thought
right.
just knocked him out with the back of his fist, but I guess he's dead because he never gets back up and he hides the body.
Yeah.
Or
And
maybe
it
the
takes them a real long time to find him.
yeah. Casey goes to the front of the train to get the radio, but it's been cut. He grabs a map. Then the bad guys figure out that there's an intruder, so they start sweeping the train. A goon comes into Casey's car and he hides. And when the goon walks past him, Casey grabs the goon's gun hand as softly as a gentleman helping a lady from a carriage and points it at his neck and blows him away and tosses him out. I mean, it is no force whatsoever when he's like,
I am You're right.
he had the dainty hands in that one.
But what's sad is
Like
it's
a,
some of the nicer stuff in this
like a
movie.
fancy lad. Oh, I
That's how
guess.
bad this movie can be at times. Yeah.
So there are like five goons in the engine car with Scotty the Goon, which is Jonathan Banks.
Yep.
And at the urging of Penn, he sends one up on the roof to double check. He runs into Casey, who gives him a sucker kick that sends him over the front and under the train. Nice dummy work again.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
like where they cut back to him and he's
yes,
holding on
he's
as
like
he's getting like torn apart.
he's screaming like Quint at the end of Jaws.
Yes. And I'm like, more of this. This
Yeah,
is great.
yeah.
This
Bat.
honestly probably the best part of the
I think
whole
so.
movie.
Bad
It's
guys start
sad.
firing wildly and just stick their guns on the roof and shoot blind. Casey returns
Everybody
the
does.
favor.
Everybody does this with their machine guns.
Yeah, they're like,
They're just like, I can't see what I'm doing, but I'm
and,
shooting.
and Casey just like gets on top and just shoots below. Like, yeah, all right, can't see
Yeah,
either, but he gets a guy because he's Casey Ryback.
of course.
Uh, more shooting with Casey using the doors, the trains as shields, which I thought was kind of clever.
Yeah.
Kills another guy in the engine.
Overused, but yeah.
He opens like three of them. Yeah. Train
It's
goes
all he
through the
does the whole
tunnel,
movie.
and Casey shoots up, uses the tunnel as a ricochet to get the guy on top and in the leg. And he limps after
Gets him in the
Casey,
knee.
but he hides and tosses the guy off the train into an outhouse or something. Just like a
Yeah,
random.
actually, I kind of dug that one.
And then Fatima, the hot lady mercenary, uses a sniper rifle and gets Casey in the shoulder. But
The only time she's useful.
it's not really shot. Doesn't count.
Well, no, he's shot, but he's invincible, so it doesn't matter.
No, you calling that shot? That's not shot. Do you not recall the line?
Oh, well, yeah, that's his line,
Yeah.
but you know.
Um, yeah. Casey falls, and the bad guys think he's dead, but of course he's just hanging underneath the train with a gunshot in the shoulder.
Yeah. You know, it kind of reminds me of the Simpsons joke. Excuse me, it's the Simpsons joke you keep referencing.
I referenced so
What's
many.
the little guy gonna do? I
Oh
know.
yeah,
Like, what's the
yeah.
little guy gonna do? Like, you see her do this, like, oh, I'm gonna run and jump up and shoot, and you're like, oh yeah.
I know you like to clip pictures in. You're gonna actually have to clip a picture of the little guy from The
I
Simpsons at some point.
probably am gonna have
Yeah.
to. Yeah, you're right. And then we'll get to it later, but there's another time where she's running like where she's called on again. You're like, yes, let's go. She's the only one that was able to do anything.
Yeah. Epic
And
fail.
it doesn't go well. It's really sad.
So here we go. This is actually probably the best action in the movie. Casey goes up to the command center in the train and tosses his homemade bomb at a couple of gooms. He has a beeper which
Yep.
activates the bomb, and the beep message says you're fucked. And the bomb explodes and sets two guys on fire. And it's impressive how long it lasts the fire on the guys.
Well, because
And I
one gets
love
set on
Dane.
fire and then falls around, and then the second guy ends up getting caught on fire because of that, and then he falls around, and it's like, oh, that's really nice. And it's like legit, like I'm on fire, guys. Like it's legit, like
Yeah, no, it's a good fire
stunt
stunt. And
dudes, and it's
like
good.
Dane is in the background going like, what the
Yeah.
I love.
It's it's
Um,
it's a nice actual moment, and to be honest, it's probably the only thing out of the entire movie that's something that would have been a John McClane thing,
right. Well,
you
it
know?
helps that Seagal doesn't actually have to do anything in that scene. That's why the action is so good.
Right.
So Bobby sneaks in the elevator and grabs the targeting CD from the computer and sneaks away again while this commotion is happening. And
Yeah,
then
the elevator that is referenced from the very beginning of the movie, like this is gonna come in handy. Like
we
okay,
need a tight close of this elevator.
yeah.
Casey puts lighter fluid on the stairs and shoots a signal flare at a guy in the chest, and he lights on fire in a slightly less impressive stunt. But then Casey kicks him off the train via an open train door, which was not open a minute ago, and I feel like it
It's
would have
just
been louder.
conveniently open when you want it to be.
Penn forces a guy via gunpoint to go down and take care of Casey, and Casey like knocks the gun out of the goon's hand and then grabs his finger and pulls him up and down,
I
and
actually
then
like that one.
hits him in the face and knocks him out.
I
Although I guess
like
he's
that one.
dead because anytime he punches a guy, they die.
Sure, but that one looked like he was actually doing something at least, and it wasn't like an immediate death. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'll put it this way. Um,
Didn't look like he was trying very hard. Sorry.
I would say the guy that he was the stunt guy he was fighting
Right.
did a really good job of
I
selling all of that.
We made a lot of jokes about Chuck Norris and Top Dog and his high kicks.
Yes.
Was anything in this movie as impressive as any of Chuck Norris's high kicks and Top Dog?
No.
Credit
No.
to Chuck.
Physically, no. I would say
Thank
absolutely
you.
not. And
That's my problem with
I
this
would
movie.
also say that I think Chuck Norris can beat Seagal as well.
Yep.
And I really crap on Seagal, I mean, and Norris a lot. And I think I would say yeah. Um I guess the only thing I would say that I appreciated in this movie, if anything, that you're not going to get from a Seagal movie is I kind of like some of how much more violent at least Seagal will go.
Then Chuck Norris, sure. Yeah.
That Chuck Norris will go, like seeing a limb snap, seeing a wrist get sliced, like it will go a little extra with some of those stuffs that I can appreciate that Seagal will never, I mean, sorry, that Norris will never do.
Right.
But I'm also, to be honest, a one that has not seen that many Norris movies because I am a Norris hater. And
Future seasons, buddy.
our mother was not a Norris person.
Probably the
Uh,
beard. Probably didn't like the beard.
Sadly, she was a Seagal person, so I do have a bit more Seagal experience.
Yeah.
So as much as I've never liked him, so
Tim and I had to trade off like which ones we had to sit through.
yeah,
Tim sat through the Van Dams. I sat through the Seagulls. Tim won.
I won
Tim won big.
wholeheartedly. I won.
Fucking exit
Um,
wounds.
I'm right. There are some rough Van Damme, without a doubt.
So many more bad Seagulls.
But yeah, there's so much more worse.
So Casey and Bobby say fuck the lemon and bail outside. Penn has sent guys to intercept him, but they can't kill him until they get the CD.
Yeah.
One guy catches Casey and he accidentally tackles Casey and they go off the train.
But luckily, our bad guys knew they were going to have to repel some rock faces at some point, and they have all the proper equipment.
Yeah. Bobby is caught, but Penn stops the train to go to get Casey because they need the CD and everybody goes flying. Casey and the goon are hanging off a cliff. Bobby jumps off the train and goes running. Casey kicks his goon off the cliff and what looks like a really bad CGI body fall. It's
I
awful.
I
Should have done a
think
dummy.
what upsets me about this whole interaction is this actually could have been good.
Sure. With someone
Like,
who's like in any kind of decent shape that could try.
imagine Stallone doing this.
Well, Stallone. Well, this brings you cliffhanger vibes.
But
It just doesn't help it. Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm going too high. But but you imagine like somebody like capable doing this scene? Like this would have actually been a lot better,
Well, that's
especially
the
where,
thing. Like this thing wasn't written to be an Under Siege movie. It just much like Die Hard
yeah,
3. It just
they
they
turned it into one.
to
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I know Matt Reeves, future writer director of the Batman, was not imagining Steven Seagal when he wrote this movie. So poor
What a
Casey,
wonderful admission if he was like, yeah, I was not imagining Seagal.
poor Casey Ryback, hard to climb in cowboy boots, but luckily a goon goes over the cliff in rappelling gear and a machine gun.
But at least they do show him struggling with his boots.
Yeah, Casey greets him with a hello
Yeah.
and jumps on his line and elbows him until he knocks him out. And another goon rappels down, and Casey greets him, "You pricks never learn." And he shoots the goon's rope, and he falls to his death.
Yeah, it's weird where he like randomly decides to curse, by the way. Like besides that moment and the you're fucked thing from the from the beeper, it's like when else has he ever like he's been mostly G. You know what I mean? So it's like it's
Yeah.
weird.
Oh.
I don't know.
Uh, huh, this was this part. So Penn shoots Ryback's rappel rope as the train pulls away, but he's able to
Oh
grab the
yeah.
top of the cliff in time. But the train is gone. Uh-oh, what are you gonna do?
Yep.
Magically, literally magically, there is a truck nearby with the starter wires already cut and ready to rub together. So Ryback grabs the truck and drives as fast
They
as
do try
possible.
to show that truck at an earlier stop before all of this, but I can't that is still dumb.
When he does catch up, he runs his truck as fast as possible, jumps from it, and the truck goes over a cliff and over the train and into like a river. And then Casey recovers in seconds and jumps on the train from the cliff. Back in the game, baby.
Catfish. Yeah, it I don't know why, but I remember this stunt being better. And I guess
Well,
that's how dumb a kid can be, right? Because oh
the
yeah, I remember
the
this being
car going over
cool.
the train was all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the car going over there, but like the whole idea of like, wait a minute, so he's jumping out of it for that jump over to somehow because it's still a hill, so somehow he's gonna still get up from rolling on this straight downhill.
All I thought while watching
And
this is like Ethan Hunt is disgusted. No.
yeah, like I'm sure Tom Cruise could have actually legitimately pulled that
Well,
stunt off, but
yeah, Tom Cruise would have just done it himself. Yeah.
yeah, but it's just it's bad. And especially because it's like you realize it's so bad, and they try to do the whole epic music moment at that point. And you're like,
Yeah. No, it looks like shit.
none of this is good.
So yeah, Casey's back in the train. He sneaks into oh no, sorry. He's sneaking around an extra large air duct in a train. Uh and gets into the bathroom being occupied by a female hostage. When the guard who gave her 2 minutes knocks on the door, she pushes her cleavage at him and says, "I broke my bra." And
Yeah,
Casey uses the distraction to hit him in the face and knock him out. It's to die for. I don't I don't know if that was like a bra advertisement joke or what.
I don't know. I
Didn't
almost
really
feel
make any
like
sense to me out of context.
this movie was like, well, the first one has some nudity and some
Yeah.
boob stuff, so we got to make sure we do that again. Because
Mm,
that seemed to be the only reason why we had that in this movie, because you had like the satellite panning in, and then this thing was just
right.
like, this just seemed like, let's try to keep as much of what worked from the first one as possible. And they forgot all the wrong lessons, It's just,
Well, just yeah, doomed from the start.
yeah,
So Casey sneaks into the hostage car, kills one guy by throwing a knife at his neck, and shoots two
I
more
liked
guys
it.
dead. All right, grading on a curve. Bobby sneaks behind the car
That's
and
fair.
shoots one of the goons in the back with a machine gun with his eyes closed,
Yeah.
and then hides in the bathroom. A random Air Force officer decides to help out and shove a goon into the line of fire and
Yeah,
gets
I'm
killed for
pretty
his
sure
effort.
we didn't see him earlier, right?
I don't know. I didn't notice him.
I didn't notice him until that moment either. So I just want to make sure I wasn't alone on that.
Yeah, Casey head shoots that goon and then shoots a couple more goons and hostage is secured. Yay. Okay, so Casey unhooks the hostage car from the
There it is.
train, but Bobby decides to jump with him to go after Sarah. Casey says if he wants to help, he should climb the rope ladder and take over the bad guy's helicopter that just appeared. Good luck, Mr. Porter.
What insane advice is it? Are we gonna save this for side character, or are we just gonna let this? Where are we gonna
Well,
lie with
I
this?
don't know. We can talk about it a little bit now, but it's like, yeah, I trained you how to use a gun like 2 hours ago. I need you to go and
Right.
take out a helicopter for me now.
Yeah. Or if you want, that's kind of what it seemed like.
Since you've jumped over to this
Yeah.
side of the train.
If you want to make
So
yourself useful, go do this thing that's clearly going to get yourself killed.
yeah, Bobby goes for it. And the pilot tells Penn he's made his first pickup, and Penn knows that's bullshit, so he sends sniper extraordinaire Fatima.
Which was, oh man, when she was running for that ladder, I'm like, yeah, what's gonna happen? This is again where the Simpsons like, what's the little guy gonna do? Like she only got to do like a quick little snipe shot earlier, like, yeah, let's go, and it doesn't go
Well, she
well.
also got to almost puncture people's eyes. So
Fair
Bobby
enough.
makes it to the top of the helicopter first, and he tries to kick her off, but she punches him in the balls.
Which I like that move. Yeah, that was
Right.
nice.
Fatima is just kicking his ass in the helicopter, but then Bobby tries a move that Sarah did on him earlier, and he's just automatically picked it up.
Yeah, he learned it through osmosis.
Right, like just
That's
one
it.
time,
Yep.
which works, and he tosses her out of the helicopter, and her screaming body hits the train on the way down.
Boom. It was like propeller guy.
Again,
It's like
nice
pre-propeller
dummy
guy.
work. Really
Yeah.
was. And Bobby takes over the helicopter. And then we get the knife fight. Casey versus Penn. Something they've been building up to for the last, I don't know, 40 minutes.
It is the worst. It's the worst out of the entire freaking movie. Nothing made me more mad than this scene.
What made me laugh so hard is first they go at each other with the knives like they're swords. Like they're like, on guard. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No. Uh, and Casey gets
And the
first
knife
blood.
thing was a bigger thing, I feel like, in the first movie.
It was. I was watching in the clips of the YouTube thing of like all like the
Yeah.
knife moves he has, and he's
And like
always
it
holding it.
wasn't that much of a thing in this movie, but they
No,
they they both took him out like everyone should be like, yeah, here we go. But like we have no setup to this other than you saw the first movie that he liked the knife. Like that was it. Like there was no setup.
I remember I had a friend in college, kind friend, who came up to me and told me like randomly one day, it's like, hey, if you're ever in a knife fight and you see the guy holding the blade and it's down here by his hand, run away because he knows how to use a knife. I'm like, cool, dude. So which is like, yeah, I've seen Under Siege too. Oh, I've seen
Yeah.
Under Siege as well, and then I
Yes,
saw
there
Under
you go.
Siege
Yeah, yeah,
2,
yeah,
and he's
yeah. I
like,
get what you're saying.
well, why is he not holding the knife that way? He knows it's not the way. I've seen him hold a knife before. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Uh, Anyway, first off, Casey gets first blood by cutting his coat. He's like, fuck, you ruined my coat.
But I think he said like it was his favorite coat or something too.
No, he
Yeah.
just says, you ruined my coat.
Oh,
Fuck,
is that
you
really?
ruined my coat. McGill's
Yeah.
delivery here, beautiful.
It's
It's
good. Yeah.
genuinely very funny. And then Casey tosses him around a little, and so they both go down the stairs. And Penn is the only one left standing with a knife. But Casey just calmly walks over to him and like claps the knife out of his hands, and then practices like practice dummy punches hit Penn like he's Bruce Lee until he flips over. He's like, bah, 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 bah. It's like the most active he is in the entire movie.
I mean, really, Penn still has the knife and he keeps going at him, but it's all these close-up shots of him just going,
Yeah,
like
it's
he's
like
doing the
it's
Macarena or
Neo.
something. Like it, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's so bad and it
yeah,
looks so slow and it's just
yeah.
like this is the part that really made me just really upset. I
So,
like they keep going back to it like three times. I want to say at least three times they go back to this like and like again like yeah we fell down some stairs but hey look at me
right.
I'm Domingo like it was like I'm still ready to go like it's still good from like oh my God.
So Penn runs away and tries a butcher knife after he's lost his knife, and Casey just wags his arms around a lot and, and blocks him every time, like you're saying. And
Yeah.
Casey just like snaps his neck and says, "Nobody beats me in the kitchen."
Yep. But
Uh,
almost all of that is just these
Sorry, I didn't do that
close-ups.
line reading justice.
Fair enough.
Beats me in the kitchen.
Yep. There you go. Could have been a little
So
drier, to be honest. But
probably
like,
right.
Yeah, it's all this like close up, like I don't know, like it just seems like that's the cheat code, right? If we do it real close, nobody realizes how slow it really is, you know? Like it's just
Yeah,
like
all the fighting in this movie is super close up because we can't show the audience like how out of shape Steven Seagal is now.
the only
Uh,
good stuff this movie all has is there's a few times where it like will show a wrist getting slit or a limb getting snapped or something along the lines. It's like the few times where it's like, all right, cool.
hmm,
But other than that, it's rough, man. It's
yeah.
there's not much here.
So back at the command center, Dane says time to go. He has everything he needs, and the other train will collide with this one in a minute. Sarah threatens to drop the grenade that Penn had given her
Yeah.
uh, to keep her hostage, and Dane says like, yeah, "Go for it." It's like you're not gonna do that, which I
Yeah.
liked.
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, go ahead."
Well, they try to show like a quick scene where she's about to, but then stops
Yeah, he's already
because
turned his back. He's like, she's not.
yeah.
Uh, that's when Casey appears, picks up his gun, grabs the grenade from Sarah and tosses it. Small explosion, especially for a grenade in that small of an
Yeah.
area. Uh, and Dane gets up and brags, it doesn't matter. There's no way to stop the satellite. And then Casey just shoots the damn modem that he's holding, and boom, the government is back in control.
I didn't
It's
think
like,
of that one.
I never thought of that. And then Dane falls out of a window, presumably to his death, one would
Nope.
think. But
Nope.
no.
Nope. Nope.
Death number one.
Yep.
Government. So he is like shot through into the stomach at this point, right? And falling
Yeah.
out of a moving train.
But he also fell. It looked like a long ways, but I guess not. So is the train
Oh,
stopped at this point?
no, it is still going head on. We're going to get
Okay.
into this because that is just death number one for Dane.
Yeah.
Government self destructs a satellite and the trains collide all at the same time. By Jonathan Banks, who apparently was driving the train the entire time still. No one told him about this part of the plan.
It also looked like that our villain fell out at the bridge sequence because the shot
Dane.
looked
Yeah,
yeah,
that's correct.
it
Yeah,
looked
no,
like Dane was at the bottom of this ravine bridge scenario.
no, no. He's like on the bridge on like the gravel of the bridge that supposedly is there. He's like just like
Right.
screaming because that's like death number two as the explosion happens. Still
Right.
not dead. Sarah grabs the rope ladder in time and climbs up, but Casey is stuck on the train and has to run as much as Seagal ever will in this movie. Uh,
Sure. Man, Mission Impossible is
he
going to do this so much better.
so much better.
So
So many
much.
so many movies will do this so much better. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he
true. That's
runs to the
true.
back with a horrendous green screen going on because we
Yeah.
just can't do this. The miniature work on the trains colliding is cool though. It's
Yeah.
nice.
There's times where the
Not a
miniatures work and
ton.
there's times where it doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like better than any Godzilla movie, but I still like this stuff. I
There's
like
moments of
miniatures.
it.
So
So there's like there's moments even from the beginning on. There's moments where the miniatures work and there's moments where it doesn't at all. Like it's
no,
very
yeah.
uneven with it. Yeah.
Casey jumps off the caboose and onto the ladder, and somehow Dane is still
Almost
alive
immediately.
and now holding on to Rybeck. I don't
Like
know how.
how? Where?
Doesn't make any
When? What?
sense,
Yeah.
but he is there.
He's
And
there.
Casey makes it onto the helicopter, and
He's
Dane is
like
now
yelling like Ryback
Dane, who was holding on to Ryback, is now not
on top
holding
of
on
the
to Ryback and
helicopter
is
with his
now at the top
hand.
of the helicopter with
Yep.
his hands on the
Weird
door.
jump.
And that doesn't make any sense. And
Nope.
Ryback just closes the door and cuts off his fingers, screams Ryback, and dies again for the
Yep.
final time.
Yep.
Uh,
It's insane. It's
just
insane.
absolutely, honestly, my favorite part of the movie, probably all that. But I was
I
just like,
kind of wish there was
sure,
connective
sure.
tissue between all of those things, but
Would
I
have been nice if it
enjoyed
even made
those
sense. Yeah,
things.
but I enjoyed every bit. Like, oh, more
Yeah.
Eric Bogosian,
Like
sure.
like I again where they shoot him from the gravel shot looking up, I'm like, he looks really far away from everything.
Yeah, he looks extra dead
Yeah.
while
Oh,
he's
and
screaming at
like
this.
also
Yeah,
like just the helicopter and train just look really far from him.
yeah.
And then but
Like for
somehow he's
some
just
reason, this
miraculously
bridge
on
has
him
like
and grabbing,
yeah. So for
right?
some reason, this bridge is like 6 feet of shoulder next to
Yeah.
next to the tracks.
It just was like, what?
I gave this a two, and I was a generous two probably, but I like the miniature work and the dummy stuff, and
Um,
that one kick over the train.
Yeah, I'm actually also I'm at it too as well.
All right, good. I thought I had
I
to explain
liked.
myself more.
No, you don't. Like I think I'm pretty much on your side almost on all of that. I do like again where it kind of it goes out of its way to be a bit more vicious with some of its action movies that I appreciate that not all action movies, especially of this ilk of this kind of mainstreamness is gonna go. You know what I mean? Like not everybody's going to show the limb literally going the wrong way. You know, not everybody's going to show the wrist getting slashed. Like not everybody's going to do that. And so I kind of have appreciation for that.
That's fair.
And that's kind of why I gave it to the two, and that's about it.
I like the dummies.
No, yeah, I agree with the dummies. Yeah.
Supporting characters.
Yeah.
So we got Katherine Heigl, baby
Yeah.
Katherine Heigl, looks legitimately like a child.
Yeah.
Is playing Sarah Ryback, and she's pissed that she hasn't seen her uncle in 5 years and doesn't understand why her dad and him stopped talking.
Yeah.
She's also rightfully annoyed that her at 16 years old had to handle her own parents' funeral arrangements. It's kind of screwed up.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm
Right? That's
guessing as a response to grieving her parents' death, Sarah dresses more like an adult with tight jeans and a jean jacket and bare midriff sweater, and her dad's Navy Cross is a necklace.
to be honest, I've as a high school teacher, I've seen worse. So,
Well, I only pointed out because of the juxtaposition at the end of the movie where she is now dressed like she should be on the cover of Mormon's Weekly, where she's wearing like a turtleneck sweater and a skirt that goes down to her
well, it's
ankles.
a funeral, you know, so
It's not
you
even a funeral.
gotta.
They already had the funeral.
Oh,
This is just
that's a
revisiting
good
the
point. That's
grave.
a good
But
point.
her,
They're just revisiting,
her uncle's
right?
in the dressed whites, but
It's a
whatever.
good point. It's a good point. Yep, 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 yep.
Um, let's see. Yeah, she does this little flip with Bobby Zax. Not sure she actually did much of anything to flip him. Because I don't know more shit.
That's not what my
Smaller
most
here,
criticism
but
is like. They try to give her this like, I'm gonna be the calming influence to this bartender here, because she seems really freaked out, even though there's no intimation of that at all, that she's
no,
any kind of
nothing.
freaked out,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, don't worry, my Uncle Casey's got this. You know, it's just like,
You see this Navy Cross was my dad's, this post
yeah,
for bravery or courage or whatever. Like my uncle has two of them.
yeah.
And a lot
They
of secret
check in
medals.
every once in a while. I'm like, none of, and again, it's like them trying to recreate the Navy men locked and like close to drowning like situation going on in the first one.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But there's that they couldn't, I guess, conceivably come up with a good creative way to recreate that same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, we'll get away with it because she's the niece, and that's fine. It's just like, sure, you tell this way older woman that everything's gonna be just fine because your Uncle Casey is like, even though she looks completely fine,
Right.
it's just it's bad.
Anyway, I enjoyed her flipping Bobby because, like, showing she's a Navy girl who enjoys beating up silly boys.
Yeah, she's not bad. It's just a
Heigl has a
ridiculous
million
character.
dollar smile.
Yeah.
I just still has an infectious smile. I would like to see more of her, honestly. I think she's very talented.
Yeah.
Uh,
She got a bad
let's
rap in
see. Yeah,
Hollywood
but
there for a little
apparently
bit.
after that though, like she's basically useless in this movie.
She is. And again, I
And
don't
it's
think
like,
it's her fault. It's not her
no, there's
fault.
just the character though that they're
Yeah,
not
the
interested in talking
character's
about.
just so horribly written.
So like
If
that's it.
anything, she's kind of knocking out of the park what's being asked of her. Just there's not much here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
25-year-old Morris Chestnut is here playing Bobby Zax, a
That is
trained
so
porter
weird.
that is a little.
I had to look it up and look at his other like man, this dude filled out and like I like it's just I
I
didn't
literally
even
wrote
recognize
down
him.
must have gained at least 60 pounds of muscle after this.
Right, yeah. Like I was shocking watching him in his other roles, like after watching this movie, be like,
Like,
man.
did you ever see him in The Best Man or any of the Best Man movies or whatever?
I
Because like
definitely seen clips of him, but
he's like
he's
playing like a
always kind
running.
of like the dream guy there in
Well,
those
he's
movies,
playing like a
right?
running back for the New York Giants, and he's massive.
Yeah. So it's just weird, but I mean,
Yeah,
you where you see it is in his smile. Like he's still
right.
like right, yeah, he's still got the charisma there. Like,
Also, like seeing with a head of hair is also weird. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, he's a little too flirtatious with the underage teen Sarah.
But I
Didn't care for
wasn't
that.
clear whether he was as well. That was not clear.
What do you mean? It was pretty clear that he was flirting with her.
No, 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 that he was flirting with her, but what his age was.
Oh, well, he's definitely older than 16.
I guess. Definitely not old enough to drink, it seemed, because he also wanted alcohol after he got flipped. And that scene seemed like he was not able to have
I
alcohol.
don't know if that's true. I think that was
Maybe it's me reading
because
into that
just
scene
I
more. I
think
don't
so.
know.
Seagal just didn't want to give him the brandy because he needed it for his cake.
Well, he just said just not the brandy is all he
Right,
said.
so he's old enough to drink.
You think?
Yeah,
But I
I
don't,
know it's
but
against
it
the
seemed
rules for
like
him
the
to drink on the
bartender was kind
job
of rolling her eyes like she wasn't going to do it to begin with.
because it's against the rules because he's on the job. He's not supposed to drink.
I guess. But I mean, I don't know. There was other references to him
Anyway,
basically being a kid. So I don't think it was clear is all I was saying.
he's good. He's fine. He does this job well. It's not much of things he can do playing against Seagal. It's kind of an impossible task, especially with like this disinterested and checked out Seagal.
Well, especially when it seems like some of his prime scenes is like, here you are by yourself with some luggage.
Right, yeah,
Do
which
some things that are funny.
not that different than when he's working with Seagal, to be honest.
Yeah. Or I
Admiral
mean,
Bates, played by Nick Mancuso from Under Siege 1, happens to be in town. And he's very grumpy to find out that the project he shut down is alive and active.
yeah.
Captain Garza, played by Dale Dye, is back in this one too. Why on earth would you hire a goddamn maniac? Because, Admiral, sane people do not build weapons like this.
Yeah.
Uh, one of the highlights of this movie, of the entire movie, is one of the technicians at ATEX says something sarcastic under his breath, and Bates like confronts the kid, and he's like, "What was that, son?" Well, I said that's why they call it space because there's a lot of it. Thank you very much. Please be quiet now.
It's like
uh,
one of those things to remember. This is a sequel. We're
yeah,
bringing back some characters
yeah. He
here.
just happens to be in town for the Navy admiral happens to be in town for a Air Force air show.
Yeah,
Uh,
it seems to be like too many people are like Casey Ryback. Like I know that guy. Like everybody knows who this guy is.
that son of a bitch. I'm in. Pretty wild that Bates waits until 12 minutes before Washington D.C. is destroyed. To call the president, like, hey, maybe you should get out of there,
Yeah.
which he does in 2 minutes.
Or even the other guy that's like, hey, maybe you should, go to your mother's.
Well, yeah,
After he's like seen hitting
I
on his
have some
wife
words
at
to
the
say about
beginning.
him.
Okay.
um, I couldn't remember if Captain Linda Gilder, played by Brenda Bakke, is on the bad guy plot when I was watching this at the
I
beginning.
couldn't remember it either. I thought
I
she
just,
was, and I was like, oh no,
just,
she's not, because
I
it's my
think it's just
confusion with Hot Shots.
as I wrote the like leftover
Yep.
vibes from Hot Shots Part Two.
Yep.
Anyway, she's hot and looks
Yeah.
like bad news, but it turns out she's not bad. She's just drawn that way.
Especially because
Uh,
they have the whole scene where she doesn't want to turn over the coats or whatever, but
right, right,
does.
right, right. She's having a an illicit affair, an against
Yeah.
regulations affair with Captain Trilling, played by David Giannopoulos, and I don't have anything interesting to say about him at all.
Other than he looks like a David Boreanaz reject.
I see it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, like a David Boreanaz, like Craig Sheffer clone, like mix. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Kurtwood Smith is completely wasted in this movie, playing Air
Sure
Force General
is.
Stanley Cooper, leader of
Uh,
the Grazer Satellite Project. I hope he got something nice for himself with the paycheck.
Yeah, like he's there, and then all of a sudden, when the other people come in, he basically takes a far back seat. You're like,
Yeah,
what?
as soon as Bates
Why?
shows up, they're like, we don't need you here anymore. I'm like, why did you get Kurtwood Smith for this? This is
Couldn't
ridiculous.
he stay around as like the jerk or something? Or like why was this
Oh,
necessary?
you know what? I screwed up earlier. I called Nick Mc. I apologize. I interrupted you too. I also double apologize. Admiral Bates was played by not Nick Mancuso. It was played by where I lost it. Andy Romano. Sorry. Apologize. Apologize to
Okay.
Andy
I
Romano.
knew you were talking about.
Nick Mancuso is here playing a CIA spook Breaker, who kept the funding for the Grazer satellite going after the Pentagon shut it down. I only want to talk about
Was
him for
that
a
the
second,
cigarette smoking guy? Yeah,
specifically
okay.
because of the cigarette. I
Yep.
want to talk about him because of the cigarette, because he's
Yep.
smoking a cigarette throughout this movie like a weirdo Frenchman.
Yeah.
Like he's like
Chain
molesting
smoker.
and fondling every cigarette he smokes, and it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And I'm
Especially
like,
when he's trying to get Becky or whatever in the beginning of the
right,
movie too
yeah,
in bed and you're like,
no.
oh
When he's like holding it vertical and he's like, I don't know, it's a weird
yeah.
thing that French people do in like every French movie that I've ever seen. I'm like, what are you doing?
There's a
Uh,
cool way of holding a cigarette and a bad way.
yeah,
You're
no, there's
trying to
like
go
it's
with.
just like oh, he's European.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's kind of how I feel. But he's not European. He's just holding like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and last but definitely not least, in this movie, Jonathan Banks playing Scotty the Goon. I gave this a two. There's no
I
one here.
did I did as well.
Yeah, so I gave this an 8.5.
That's exactly what I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the exact same score.
I
Um, so that you have to decision on Congo. And mine's simple. Mine is just below Cutthroat Island. So,
what did I give Johnny Mnemonic? You didn't give me a score on Johnny Mnemonic. I don't remember.
oh, I don't have a score for you actually, or either of us, to be honest. Whoops. I have it um as the second to last. We both have it as second to last. You have it just above Top Dog, and so do I.
I gave Johnny Mnemonic an 8, so it was below Congo. Okay. So this is tied with Congo. I'd rather watch Congo again.
Well, I mean, just because there's so much fun acting to be had,
Yeah,
I guess.
I never get.
But
It's the same.
still
I'm
shocked.
also more delighted by side characters, but there are more side characters that I'm. I don't have Steven Seagal dragging this shit down. Is really what comes down for Congo, even though the
Yeah,
movie's a bit more of a drag.
it is way more of a drag, and there's still I would still say there's more entertaining action going on in Under Siege than there is in Congo. So
Uh,
so and actually we have it reversed, to be honest. I have Under Siege as 11, you have Congo as 11, you have Under Siege 12, and I have Congo 12. So we have reversed ours. I think there's
Diamonds.
enough here that yes, I think side characters alone is so much fun with
Diamonds.
Congo. The diamonds, yeah,
Stop eating my
I
sesame cake.
for sure, but I feel like that's fun meme wise. I don't know if it's any fun after that. Like that's
Yeah. No, well, I get to enjoy Tim Curry throughout the movie. I did. I don't have to watch Steven Seagal at all. So I'd rather watch Congo again.
okay.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Tim,
Eh,
are you
I
ready
can
to play?
ignore some of that and just go with the ride
Just
of the
enjoy
fun
Eric Bogosian.
villains. There's some
Yeah,
great fun villain stuff. I think it evens out. At least there's some action stuff that's somewhat entertaining that there's none at all in Congo. So I'd rather go the other way.
that's true. All right. Yeah, flip a
Yeah.
coin. You ready to play America's favorite game?
Body mass alone.
Body mass alone.
I don't want to have conversations anymore about dudes' physiques.
Dennis,
and whether
in
they can.
body mass alone.
That's what I was trying to avoid. A conversation about body mass.
Okay.
This is what I've written up for body mass alone for this.
Ooh, do tell.
LOL, no.
Yeah.
One.
One. Yeah.
there's
There's
there's no beef. There's no skin in this movie whatsoever. It's pathetic.
you cannot be more clothed.
Yeah, he's wearing a full-on suit throughout the entire
And
movie.
it never gets disheveled again. Like it
No,
is.
there's no dirt on it. It's really
You
impressive.
never
Right.
lose like a part of it. It's not like, oh, I gotta lose this part of the jacket. So like, nope, it's never any of that. It's just
Mm.
it is.
Okay, so my miscellaneous stuff. Wonder if you really can't hear someone running on top of a train, which Seagal does like 10,000 times throughout this movie, and no one
It's kind of
notices
his
him.
move.
I get it, but it's like I would hear somebody walking around on my roof. I don't know about you.
I don't know. I don't know. You get off trains.
I'm gonna have to just ride more trains and find out.
I'm okay with that choice.
Okay, thank you. Why would you use stealth bombers for an attack on these trains? Because they look cool?
I
Is that it?
guess. How insane is that scene where they show him taking out the second plane that's supposed to take out their train?
That was actually, I forgot to write that up. Yeah, that was good. Miniature stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're like, wait a minute. it's a bad pilot at that point, right? Like
Yeah,
you
why
had
is
to
he
get
so low? Why is
why is he
he
so low and so close to that train to
for a
try to
stealth
check?
bomber? Because anything he drops is gonna blow him up too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
I thought
what
about
is
it.
going on here? Like, because you're looking at it, you're like, wait a minute, what? And then he's like, you get the fun of him being, oh, I'm good, or
God,
damn,
I'm
I'm
good.
good, or
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and you're
yeah.
just like, oh, I guess I'll forget about it because he's fun. But at the same time, you're like,
It's kind of where I'm
what?
at. Like, cool miniature effect, fun Bogosian. I'm gonna ignore how stupid that is.
Yeah, idiotic.
But I did take note of it.
Yeah.
A full $1 billion gets instantly transmitted into Dane's account, and I couldn't help but think about the bad guys' plan in sudden death, where he gave them so much more time.
Yep. A lot more time.
Van Damme over Seagal all day.
You know what's insane? Um, how 1995 really seems to be the epitome of satellites and the internet and artificial intelligence or whatever you want to like. There's just so much like that is such a scare
Mm-hmm.
of that era that it is in a lot of our movies this year, like a lot.
We have at least two killer satellites, right?
Well, you got Goldeneye.
Oh,
We haven't gotten there
three.
yet.
Congo technically counts, right?
Congo's a satellite movie. Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna count
Congo's
it.
a satellite movie. Virtuosity's got stuff of that.
Not a
Sudden
satellite, but yeah,
Death's
I
got
hear
a
you.
satellite aspect to it.
There's no
Um,
satellite in sudden death.
in Sudden Death, yeah, because they gotta relay the money payments and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fair, but
Oh,
maybe that's
okay.
Under
That's
Siege,
a stretch.
Congo, Dynamic. Goldeneye is gonna fit into this.
Goldeneye definitely does.
Yeah, so
All
I mean,
right.
there's a decent amount of movies in here that have some kind of play on this.
Right. You ready to hear the John Peters story for this?
I wish there was a theme that I could play for it. I don't even know what you would do.
Oh, you just play the clip from Licorice Pizza.
I did the last time we mentioned him in the last episode, at least in the
Oh, did
video
you?
podcast, I put up a side by side of John Peters next to what's his name playing John Peters? Drawing a blank, but yeah.
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
Yes, thank you.
Come from the streets.
Jeez. God, I love it.
So originally Warner Brothers hired John Peters to produce this movie, and the
Sure.
director supposedly wanted Russell Crowe to play the Penn part. But Peters
Okay.
decided to hire Gary Busey instead. when
Okay.
when Peters was told his character blew up in the first movie, he didn't care. He just give him a scar on his face. So he signed Busey to $750,000 pay or play deal, which means he got paid no matter what.
Oh, it was great for him. Look at that.
Seagal was on vacation in like Thailand or Indonesia or something. And when he came back, he found out he was furious that Peters decided to just do this on his own and forced Warner Brothers to fire Peters. No Gary Busey in this movie, obviously, but Gary Busey got himself a nice paycheck.
Nice.
Just like, John Peters. Love that
Careful
dude.
who you give the signing right of contracts to, dear Lord.
For real. Um, so we already talked about Morris Chestnut talking about how they only stuck to the script when Skull wasn't there.
Yeah.
He would just come to set and tell everyone what to say and what to do. Allegedly, Jenna McCarthy auditioned for the Kelly the barmaid part, and Seagal asked her to get naked when she auditioned. She walked out instead. She kindly pointed out that there's no nudity in the part, and he's like, "We don't know that," and she's like, "Yeah, fuck you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't love Jay McCarthy, but good for you. Like that's gross.
I mean, I if I have to pick one, it's definitely I'm going to pick Jenny McCarthy over Steven Seagal. Seagal
Yeah.
has a much longer record of being a piece of shit, especially towards women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this movie had a budget of $60 million, which is a little over $124 million today. Worldwide gross of a little over 104 million, which is a little over $216 million today. So if you figure that you spend $60 million of the budget and then you have to add another $60 million in advertising, didn't quite make back the same way that the first Under Siege did.
Yeah. Because the
But
first
I'm
one was
assuming
successful,
but
right?
VHS first was a huge hit. But considering
Yeah.
VHS is still a big deal back then, probably made all
I
its money
thought it
back in
was
then.
interesting too. Um, the poster kind of stuff for this movie changed after a certain point, and I'm curious to look to see when it changed.
Did it? I only remember seeing him on the side of the train.
Yeah, that's what we had on the VHS tape from our mother. Yeah. But eventually there is an other, because when I was trying to do the artwork for this episode, I started to realize there's another poster of him in the naval attire
Oh, right. I have
with
seen
a
that on
bridge
IMDb.
and a train going, which is very
Yeah.
reminiscent of them just
The
taking
first
the
one.
same artwork from the first one and
Yeah.
repurposing it. So it's like, did this artwork come later?
They probably just made some box set and decided to do it that way.
Yeah, that's why I'm really curious. I'm like, when did this version of the poster come out?
First off, by the way, I digress, but come on. Steven Seagal as a Navy SEAL is one of the most absurd things I've ever seen. There's no
Yeah.
way he could survive 5 minutes of Navy SEAL training.
I don't think they've ever really explained, even in the first one, how he goes from being like a crazy, amazing Navy SEAL guy to being a cook.
They do.
Do they? I
Yeah,
don't
Gary
remember.
Busey finds his personnel file. I had to look this one up.
Okay.
And he went on some mission in Panama and punched out a superior officer afterwards because he was the only one survived, and so he got demoted to he could only hold the position of a yeoman or a cook and decided to stay in Navy. I don't know because he wanted that pension. Anyway,
Okay.
debuted at number 2 in its debut weekend. Number 1 was Apollo 13 in its second week of release.
That's fair.
Other debuts that week are 9 Months, which came in at number 3. That's a better
Great
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Indian in the Cupboard, which came in at number 6. I haven't seen that movie in decades, but I'm going to say that's a better movie too. Also, Apollo 13, also a better movie.
Apollo 13, definitely. I didn't really dig Indiana Cover when I was that age, so I could change my mind though,
Fine kid
recent.
movie.
But
Fine.
I just remember everybody really, really crazy about like, oh, look at the crazy cool things he gets to see when he opens up the cover. And I'm like, does that necessarily make this a good movie? Because the one time he opens up the cover to cool stuff, I don't understand why that makes it a good movie. But anyway, it's been a super. I probably was in sixth grade the last time we saw the movie, so I can't really judge.
Should say what movie are we watching next week? By the way, we are now 2/3 of the way through the season.
I know.
Got 7 movies left.
So I thought I had a pick, but then you were really ragging on how bad this movie is. So now it's making me feel bad.
What movie? I don't even know what it is.
I know.
You gonna pick Fair Game? I don't even know.
I was not gonna go Fair Game.
Oh.
All right, why not? We'll
What
just.
have I been ragging on? I don't even know.
Well, you're gonna. I mean, because it's acclaimed to be one of the worst movies, at least box office blunders ever.
Waterworld?
Dry land is not a myth.
I have seen it. No. Okay. So here's the thing about Waterworld. I also have not seen this in decades, but
yeah, same.
Action so cool they made a stunt spectacular out of it, which still exists to this day.
True.
Also,
True.
He drinks his own piss.
So, he does.
Which does. For some reason, the one detail I have vividly, it just etched in my mind, like, hey, he's drinking his own piss right at the beginning of the movie. That's wild.
You got a cool villain. I mean, there's aspects here.
Yeah, sure. Hopper going Hopper.
Yeah, full on, right?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. Well, let's go with it. Why not, right? I don't know.
Waterworld.
This at least has to be a jump up in action, right?
This is this is definitely, and it's also a fun comparison between another actor just dominating production from Under Siege 2 to Waterworld. Is it Reynolds? Kevin J. Reynolds? Kevin Reynolds, I think, who also directed Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Had nothing nice to say about Kevin Costner to this movie.
I have in my other podcast, I had a whole episode on this movie.
Right.
So I got quite a lot of tidbits on it.
I'll let you write the miscellaneous.
I might have to do the miscellaneous. We'll see. I don't know.
All right, cool.
All right, man. Lots of fun.
All right, you got anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, that is it for us. Please show us your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. We're now on Blue Sky. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag FilmBroChamp. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. Please have it.
Bye-bye.
You had nothing for Seagal. I don't blame you.
There's nothing to say. What am I say? I'm like looking at my notes. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm making a bomb.
Making a bomb. Like the coolest thing this movie had to say was on a beeper.
Yeah, you're fucked.